Joining me now is American Culture Project Senior Fellow and School Choice Advocate Corey DeAngelis. Corey, is the WNBA determined to fail? Why does it want to repel so much of its potential audience with this sort of activism?
Yeah, the WNBA is burning itself into the ground with these kind of publicity stunts. They should focus on sports, but they're not so good at that. So I guess they're focusing on all of this political ideology and getting it onto the court. But look, you can't make this stuff up. They've operated at a loss each year since its inception about 30 years ago. And last year, they operated at about a $50 million loss, about 5 times the average loss each year in the WNBA. So,
wow.
I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. And look, the stadium is empty. You can see it on the screen. Basically, based on their track record of not having an audience, they have a moment of silence basically every game. So this is not so new since no one's there anyway.
Well, yes, there's involuntary moments of silence. And yet you've got, again, the activism within the league from the players pushing to have pay parity with male stars. But as you've just explained, this is a league that doesn't make money. So how can they possibly hope to boost the salaries of their stars and have them have the sort of resources that the NBA players have?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. You can't call for equal pay when you don't have equal profitability. And the NBA is just more interesting to watch. And this league, they don't know what they're doing, and they're taking these political stunts to the court. They deserve everything that's coming to them. They should shutter already. They should have shut down a long time ago with operating in 3 decades, having no profitability, having millions of dollars in losses every single year. And so this is just another reason why that we should not watch the WNBA.
Corey, let's talk about Harvard now. They're in a world of pain. The Trump administration is not letting up on holding the college responsible for its discriminatory practice, for its tolerance of anti-Semitism on its campus. Tell me what the latest is here. The federal funding cuts are going through, and there are attempts to ban international students from enrolling at Harvard.
Yeah, look, Harvard played stupid games. Now they're winning stupid prizes. They're losing tons of money. Trump's already blocked billions and billions of dollars from going to that university, which raises the question, why would this elite institution that already has a $53 billion endowment that they're sitting on, they charge students about $60,000 per year in tuition. They're flush with cash. They have so much money. Why do they need a cent of taxpayer money to begin with? So a lot of people didn't even realize that they were getting so much taxpayer funding before this whole debacle kind of unfolded. So a lot of people are seeing that this was regressive to begin with. A lot of people who will never go to college, who are paying for the college activities of well-off, well-to-do people in the Ivy Leagues is just preposterous to begin with. But Trump, I'm glad he's leading the way on this issue. These universities that are just ideological breeding grounds for left-wing indoctrination, they shouldn't get a cent of taxpayer money.
Well, you talked about being ideological breeding grounds for left-wing indoctrination, and the data bears that out. Have a look at this graph showing that Harvard is an echo chamber. It's got less than 3% of its faculty identifying as conservative, and 78% there are left or very left. Around 20% say they are moderate, though, Corey, I would imagine at Harvard, calling yourself a moderate means you're a socialist instead of a communist.
Yeah, the moderates are just Marxists who don't want to admit it at Harvard. So yeah, it's a one-sided institution. Less than 3% identify as conservatives. And that's their own student newspaper reporting this about their own faculty. So this is a big deal. And it shows that they're more of a political organization than a educational organization. And if you look at where the money goes, I mean, you look at Open Secrets, 95% of political contributions from people affiliated with Harvard University go to Democrats each year. It's insane how one-sided this is. And we should go further than pulling billions of dollars in taxpayer money. We should revoke their tax-exempt status because of their political nature.
Now, Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill, that's what it's called, has passed the House. And your passion project, Corey, school choice, was one of the policy areas covered in the BBB. Tell me about that.
Yes, it's huge. Look, Trump won the parent vote by 9 points after campaigning on nationwide school choice and abolishing the Department of Education. This is popular with the American public, and red states right now are already passing school choice policies, including my home state of Texas becoming the 16th state to go all in on school choice. This package in the big, beautiful bill also includes a federal tax credit, which would supercharge that school choice momentum already happening in the Republican-controlled states. But it would also expand educational opportunities to families in blue states like California and New York. So this is a big win. It's $5 billion. It's a start. And hopefully once families get a taste of school choice in those blue states, they'll demand their state legislatures go all in too.
Now, you mentioned the clear mandate that Trump has. He campaigned on a platform of dramatic change, and part of that was abolishing the Department of Education. But a federal judge has now blocked the Trump administration from carrying out the president's executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. What else can you tell me about this? Does that mean that policy is over?
This is the clearest example of judicial activism that I've ever seen. This guy was appointed by Democrat Joe Biden. He has a history of donating to the Democrat Party. He's in lockstep with the teachers union doing their bidding. Randy Weingarten, the head of the AFT, the largest teachers union in the country, in the United States, she celebrated the decision. She was the main plaintiff in the decision as well. And so this is just protection of special interest teachers unions more than anything else. But the fight isn't over yet. This same judge, his last ruling that was a pro-DEI racist ruling, got overturned at our U.S. Supreme Court. I expect this one will also get overturned as well. So Trump is still in the fight here. This short-term loss with judicial activism is not going to make us lose the war.
Now, Corey, there does seem to be some sort of a judicial insurrection happening at the moment in the US. It seems every single policy is being frustrated through the courts with these small-time judges, activist judges, frustrating the Trump administration and not allowing it to press ahead with its mandate. It may ultimately get overturned and become policy, but in the meantime, they're not doing what they were elected to do.
That's right. They're more political pawns than judges. They're supposed to be unbiased. They're supposed to follow the rule of law, but they don't. A lot of the times they're less accountable than the politicians in the legislature because you can't vote them out. So this guy got appointed by Joe Biden, and he's going to do whatever Joe Biden wants him to do. And so this puts people in limbo. It puts the American people in limbo. And that's going to hurt the Democrats in the next election because of all this back and forth. But at the end of the day, the conservatives control the Supreme Court most of the time here in the United States. So I think we'll ultimately win the war, even if we lose the battle in the short term. So the Democrats are pulling out all the stops. They lose in the legislature, so they fight it through the courts to try to stop the will of the people. But they're going to lose at the end of the day. And so I'm okay with that.
Well, parents had a win in California. A district court there has ruled that parents have the right to opt out of gender identity ideology being presented to their kids. Most Californian public schools prohibit parents from opting their children out of these lessons. This is a positive move forward, particularly in a state like California, which is at the forefront of so much of this madness, Corey.
Yeah, this is a huge win. This judge ruled based on the First Amendment to free speech that the school was violating the First Amendment rights of parents by keeping them in the dark, by not allowing them to opt out, and by essentially using compelled government speech, making kids learn about this gender ideology curriculum. Families now will be able to have that information up front, and they will also be able to opt out if they're not happy with the values that are being instilled with their children. So for this to happen in California, I'm very optimistic. This is going to spread to other states too. And this is how it always should have been. But we should take it a step further. You should obviously be able to opt out of your kid's school if it's not aligned with your values, but you should also be able to take that money with you to another school that is aligned with your values. This is a great argument for school choice, to have the money follow the child to a school that best meets your needs.
Corey DeAngelis, thanks so much for your time.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.